The Department of Justice reports that 80% of big police departments across the country use the police body cameras. Portland does not. In fact, it's the last big city department still not using them. We're going to talk about them more in a moment. But first, let's take a look at a nearby agency that appears to be a success story with these. Salem Police began wearing body cameras this week, on Monday, in fact. I talked with the chief, Trevor Womack, this afternoon.
It's going well. I think that I was actually pretty impressed for such a big technology system to be implemented. We were a little concerned about how that might go. Usually there's glitches and so forth, but I think the amount of preparation we put into this paid off because we've had really no issues.
Salem Police worked over the past 2 years to get the program in place and launched it Monday. Monday night, officers rushed to a shooting in Salem. 3 people shot. One of those died. The chief said those body cameras are already helping with that investigation.
Yes, that's one of the benefits of the camera system that I believed from the start. And you're correct, especially a scene like that where you arrive, there's multiple people shot, which is a chaotic situation. There's a lot of people, as officers are arriving, there's a lot of people still there, roaming around, leaving, coming. And so the difference there is that from the start, the time the officers arrive or begin to capture that video, you're seeing license plates and vehicles that might be leaving, people's faces. You don't know if these are victims or witnesses or suspects. And so that did prove valuable already. It's a tool for follow-up investigators especially, and we're using it in that way just for that case you mentioned.
So think about that for a moment. Think about all the information being lost by departments not using body cameras. Vancouver, by the way, is not using them, but they told us they're going to launch their program by the end of this month. Good for you. That leaves Portland. 8 years of discussions and still no body cameras. The fundamental hang-up is whether officers can view the footage before they write their reports. The cops want to do it, but the Federal Justice Department and the community activists say they should not. Now, Chief Womack did not want to comment on the Portland issue or any other department not using these cameras. In fact, he didn't want to get anywhere near that, so I hope that's clear. He's only talking to us about how it's going with his department. But he is quite clear in his thinking on the topic. Body cameras are a good tool. Allowing officers to view the video as they write their reports is common sense to him.
And I think about it this way, Pat. I started in 1992. We weren't even using email yet. And I remembered I was issued a little notepad with a pen, right? And every call I went to, I would take notes about everything that happened. And I'm observing and I'm talking to everybody. And then when I went back to the office, it might be that night or 2 days later when I had to write this report, I would pull out my notepad and I would review my notes. Because my memory is not perfect, I can't remember all those details. I would review my notes and I would write an accurate report based on those notes. This is Notepad 3.0, right? This is a technological way to capture what's happening and refresh an officer's memory to make sure the report is as thorough and as accurate as possible. Why wouldn't I want officers to have that information?
Okay, and just because you haven't specifically said it clearly, they are able to review that as they're writing the reports?
Yes, the only time that they're not going to be able to review that necessarily is for the big serious critical incidents, right? An officer-involved shooting, for example, a fatal use of force. We don't investigate ourselves, of course. We have a process here where an outside agency conducts that investigation. They would be in charge of that investigative process, and our district attorney as well. And their position is that officers would not view that video before that interview occurs, for example. But other than that, for the most part, officers can view the video, and I believe they should before they write a report or give a statement about something.
So there's that. But in Portland, the freeze on body cameras continues. In fact, it might even be getting a little bit colder. The police union and the city have been negotiating recently, trying to resolve their stalemate on the body cameras. But this week, they basically gave up and declared an impasse. Now it's going to go to an arbitrator, which could add 6 to 9 months on this ever-growing delay. And the Justice Department, by the way, has reserved the right to approve or reject anything that the arbitrator decides. It's been a long road. How'd we get here? In the fall of 2014, a federal judge urged the city of Portland to put cameras on its officers, even though the U.S. Justice Department did not require it back then. The mayor at the time, Charlie Hales, said, sure. The Bureau even set aside money and held some community hearings to get ideas. By 2015, things seemed to be on cruise control.
The Oregon legislature passed a bill that created a statewide standard for body camera usage, and Portland City Council put aside more than $830,000 to put even more cameras in police cars. And the city pledged another $1.6 million to fund the program through the next fiscal year. Then, another year and a different mayor later, things hit a snag. Mayor Ted Wheeler questioned if the project was feasible and asked the Police Bureau for a detailed plan, including how much the cameras would actually cost. The police chief at the time, Mike Marshman, summed it up by saying, "That's in a nutshell why we don't have body cameras today." But fast forward to January of 2019, and there was another opportunity. Portland Police formed a team to finally come up with that detailed plan the mayor had wanted to see. And in February 2019, the city held listening sessions. A year later, in early 2020, then Chief Jamie Resch said she supported body cameras and hoped to see a pilot program in the future. But once again, the plan hit a snag because the COVID pandemic blew out the city's budget, and the body camera pilot project was one of many things that ended up on the chopping block. And that's how we got here.
Things appeared to be back on track in 2021, and then last year the city picks the Axon Company to run a pilot program with the hopes of that getting up and running by the end of this year. But now the city and police union cannot come to an agreement. They're basically throwing their hands in the air, asking that arbitrator to make the decisions. Both the city and the union will release their final offers to each other and to the public tomorrow. It's when we will find out the exact issues keeping them apart. But we know the question of whether officers can watch the video before writing their report, that's a big one. It's also worth noting that most police agencies in Oregon do allow officers to see the video first. They include Oregon State Police, Gresham, Forest Grove, Beaverton, Eugene, and as I mentioned earlier, Salem. So what's going through your mind on all this? What are you thinking about this? You could send us an email. Please do. Send us an email to thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. We love your feedback. And tomorrow we hope to bring you more details about the impasse between the City of Portland and the police union on the body cam policy to see where we go from here.